What's up guys, this is Yacine and welcome to the OCG metagame breakdown number 4. I am well aware that I'm extremely late on this one, not only on today's upload but also just on this OCG breakdown report because I was at Weiss's Providence and I was super tired yesterday and the day before. So yeah, again, my bad, but better late than never. Anyways, this is the very first one that includes Duelist Advanced, so we have a couple of new really good decks that are coming out in that set. And it does matter because this is the set right before the NAWCQ. But we don't have Justice Hunters until after, because that one is going, it's coming out 2 weeks before YCS Vancouver. So just in case you're wondering, will we have Duelist Advance for NAWCQ? The answer is yes. And we are not going to be having, you know, the Dragon Tail, sorry, not Majestus, what's the other? K9 and Yummy decks for that event. But we will have them for YCS Vancouver, like I said. So yeah, let's get right into it. As soon as you smash the like and subscribe button, and also check out my Blue Eyes and Crystron spreadsheet on my website, yacineygo.com. Very first link at the top of the description box below. Okay, so 127 top performing decks from 26 tournaments during the span of like a few days. It's not too bad. And yeah, a few tournaments were excluded. I think some of them are like Asian English, so it doesn't even matter too much. I have checked some of the tournaments, and honestly, it doesn't feel real, you know, like Primite, Blue Eyes, a bunch of Raziel, Salamangrate. It's not like I can really check this out and really learn too much from it. Maybe it's not even the same format, but this definitely looks like, you know, OCG format, especially when we see a bunch of Yummy and also the Gagaga Raziel deck. Yes, Automat is Gagaga, Go Go Go, Do Do Do, Gi Gi Gi, Ja Ja Ja, whatever. Anyways, alright, so Dragon Tail, #1 best deck, of course, but not by a significant margin. It's pretty much tied with Yummy, Malice, and I guess almost Vanquish Soul. I mean, there's practically no gap between all of these decks. It's always like 1 or 2 or 3 decks apart. So yeah, you can't really say that it's, you know, it's a crazy format where one deck is significantly better than the other. Right now, you can't say that Malice is much better than most decks, but Raziel Mitsurugi is also really broken. So it really does remind me a little bit of like Dragon Ruler and Spellbook, where Malice feels like Dragon Ruler, and then Raziel Mitsurugi feels like Spellbook, but not really, because Spellbook, you know, aka Raziel Mitsurugi was the deck that just won YCS Providence. So it feels like nothing makes sense, but whatever. As long as K9 Crystron is doing well, that's all that matters to me. This, in my heart, is the best deck. Even though I'm not playing Crystron up until K9 comes out, because, like I said, I kind of had like a burnout from the deck. I mean, not really. I mean, I will always love the deck, but I do need to take a break from it after playing it for 4 consecutive events. You know, it's fine. I can move to something else. But yeah, Dragon Tail, most deck lists, I guess you can say, are playing with the Majestus engine. It really adds a lot of consistency and power to the deck, so I like it a lot. K9 is actually splashable in everything. You can play K9 in Dragon Tail, in Yummy, maybe not in Malice, but you can definitely play it in Vanquish Soul. As a matter of fact, that's actually the best version of K9. It's also the best version of Crystron, right? Obviously, I don't even think there's a single, like, pure Crystron. It's also the best version of Cyber Dragon. Anything where you play level 5 monsters, naturally K9 is going to be insane in it. And also Vanquish Soul, I mean, it naturally plays Holy Sue, which is a level 5 monster, and I don't really think it has to play like the other monster, like the Platinum. Hold on, I forgot the name, but it's garbage. So yeah, K9 engine is actually better off as an engine than as a pure deck. Yeah, you see, pure K9 is actually worse than Brandish. Yeah, that is interesting. Anyways, Primate Dragon Tail, 1 pure Dragon Tail, looks unplayable. And then Despia, Regenesis, alright. Okay, not a lot of Regenesis doing well in the OCG. And the new support from Duelist Advance, not the best. Anyways, Yummy, most builds are pure, and then two of them are with the Primate engine. Honestly, I don't really see the synergy. Maybe there is like a reason to play Primate and Yummy, I'm not sure. Super Heavy Samurai Yummy, okay, Red Flag Turbo. Malice, okay, you don't really need like another engine in Malice, and it's not even gonna mention like Malice adding Nistor because that's a given. It's not like you can say, oh no, oh my god, I wonder which adding Nistor monsters are being played. No, it's always 3 backup, 1 wizard, no shit. Vanquish Soul, yeah, 9K9 and then 7 pure Vanquish Soul. This is interesting that Vanquish Soul can be really, you know, competitive as a pure deck, because, again, just in case you didn't hear it the first time, pure Vanquish Soul will exist for the NAWCQ, but like I said, K9 is not coming out until Justice Hunters, which is 2 weeks before Vancouver. So in other words, if pure Vanquish Soul is good right now, like in this format, then it might actually be a sleeper pick from the for Nats. So that's something to take into consideration, because that could send people to Worlds, and if your name is Steven Santoli, maybe this is exactly what you want. So yeah, Vanquish Soul is a pretty nice deck. And the new support, I mean, it's definitely, I feel like it's the kind of deck that will also never get destroyed on the ban list because it feels very fair. You know, you normal summon a monster, you search a card, and then you make a link 1, you recycle back a card, and then you just pass. It's kind of like a trap deck, but without the trap cards, if you understand what I'm trying to say. It doesn't really make unbreakable boards. Like I said, it's a fair deck that is very good at doing the exact same thing, but most importantly, the real reason why Vanquish Soul is good is because it doesn't lose to like the typical non-engine cards that are played. Like you play Droll, the Chummies, and stuff like that. It's not great against Vanquish Soul. Like Perulia can be fine because you always have to like normal summon at the end of the day, so you're always giving at least 1 draw. But then again, you can just set up like the link 1 to recycle back stuff and then play on the opponent's turn, and it's honestly not the end of the world. But yeah, anyways, K9 Crystron, of course, the best deck. I really believe in that deck. I think this deck is actually the most aggressive when it goes first. There's pretty much no way you can beat this deck when you're going second against it. Super high ceiling, very consistent because with the K9 engine, you can bridge into the Crystron engine by going to River Stormer, the Infinite Track rank 5, and then you can detach material to search Scrap Recycler. And the K9 engine doesn't take up your normal summon, so after that you can normal summon Scrap Recycler or send a Crystron. If you get Impermed or Ash Travailer there, it doesn't matter because you can make Clockwork Knight, and then Clockwork Knight effect target the River Stormer and the Scrap Recycler in the grave. You send the River Stormer, revive back Scrap Recycler, and then send again. And yeah, you just pop off from there. You can also make an SP, and then full Crystron combo. It is completely correct. This is such a broken deck. Hey, Sky Striker, of course, the new support is really nice. If you're, again, if your name is Ryan Yu, maybe you could make it work. Pure K9, not a really big fan. It doesn't really feel like it has too many win conditions. White Forest, okay. And one toy White Forest is very interesting. Luna Light, this deck, yo, the new support is actually unfair. I could imagine this deck doing way better over time because nobody really has an out, like the unaffected by card effect monster with like 3,800 attack that can also destroy like every special summon monster on the opponent's turn. This is insane. Actually, it might also be on your own turn as well. It might be like a Warbreaker and like a kind of like a Floodgate at the same time. If you can't make like an Underworld Goddess, you are losing, but if you get like all the materials to make the Underworld Goddess, then you just go effect destroy every monster, and then you're screwed. So yeah, Luna Light is kind of nice, and it feels pretty consistent as well. But honestly, I haven't really, not really wasted my time, but I haven't really checked it out too much up until now. Onomat Utopic, of course, this deck is really... Everybody has like their eyes set on the new Gagaga stuff in Raziel, because just in case, you know, Mitsurugi and whatever the other things, like Heraldic Beast doesn't work out, then this could actually be just another engine that you can play. But as a pure deck, it doesn't really feel like it makes too much sense. And remember that in the OCG, Raziel is crippled to oblivion, whereas in the TCG, it's actually still playable. So I do believe in Raziel, Gaga, go something. Anyways, Primate Blue Eyes, this deck is almost rogue now in the OCG. It's very disappointing how Primate Blue Eyes is doing significantly worse than, like, bro, Sky Striker doing better than Blue Eyes. Like, in which world do we live in? Like, this makes no sense, but, I mean, it kind of does, but whatever. Art Media, I haven't really checked too much into it, but I actually do know that in the OCG, it is starting to see a little bit of play. And I've seen, like, some Board Breaker builds, some Hand Shop builds, whatever. But yeah, Board Breaker is, like, a pretty popular one for this one. I don't know. Maybe it is good. Azamina Snake Eye Farking, that's... Only because original is a thing, right? I think. Otherwise, it's complete garbage because I really don't see the synergy between, you know, Snake Eye, Azamina, and Farking. I really just don't see it. Dragon Tail, Despia, whatever, Fiendsmith bullshit, Grass Horus, something, K9 Cyber Dragon, nice deck. Labyrinth, whatever. How is Malice Code Talker here and not here? Here, whatever. It's fine. Memento. Yo, Memento doing as bad as Shark. This is so sad and pathetic. Literally, YCS champion deck, back to back, is now on the same level as like a deck that is not even like rogue status. Like, imagine playing Shark post-ban list. No Bahamut and no Dweller. It actually went from rogue to unplayable. This is so unfortunate. And then Valiance, there you go. Merry Christmas. Okay, so for Dragon Tail, they've got a new fusion monster in Duelist Advance. And it's actually really funny. This is hilarious, by the way. This is the world upside down. It is a new fusion monster for them, but for us, when we're going to be getting Dragon Tail, it's actually going to be an old card. Because for them, the product is flipped around. They got Justice Hunters first and then Duelist Advance. But for us, we're getting Duelist Advance and then Justice Hunters. So we already know what to expect. We already know what to do when we're going to have Sacramentum Dragoon. And yeah, this card is mega broken against like fusion, Spellcaster and Dragon decks. So it's just like a Floodgate. You can't activate the effects of special summoned Dragon and Spellcaster monsters. And obviously, just in case you didn't know, The Dragon Tail deck, it only plays dragons and spellcasters, so in other words, the way they're kind of beating that is by playing the K9 engine in order to summon like the Book of Moon, this guy right here, which by the way is a new target to send off of X-Raziel. So up until now we had the Mirror Logic Aggregator and Twins of the Eclipse that have effect when they're sent to the grave, but now there's also this new monster, which by the way on the field is just like a detached material Book of Moon, a monster to level 5. It's very convenient, but when it's sent to the grave, it destroys a face down card on the field. It can be a face down monster or a face down spell and shop. That's pretty good. So yeah, this is a nice interruption and also a nice card that you can play in Raziel, just in case you didn't know, so the deck is getting indirect support. But yeah, with Izuna, you can send the Lupus and then Quick Xyz into Nash Knight, which is nowhere to be seen, but you can also just make Ripper, and Ripper can negate a monster effect. So yeah, I guess there are solutions, or you can make this guy, obviously, and then Book of Moon, the Sacramentum Dragoon, which is this card right here. So right before Mysterion and right after, I think it's Altharion, something like that. I forgot the name exactly of the monsters because honestly, I don't really care too much. I know that they're gonna get their name errata in the TCG anyway, so why even bother and why waste my time? Especially since, like, Dragon Tail is actually my least favorite out of the 3 new archetypes that we're getting in Justice Hunters. But yeah, this deck plays a huge, massive amount of non-engine, and I feel like it gets streamlined the more and, like, as we're progressing into like the format, every deck list is just getting better, because I remember when people were playing like 2-3 copies of the green, 3 copies of the red, I actually wanted to vomit and kill myself, but people are actually no longer that stupid. So now the bricks are only one-ofs because honestly they suck. I mean, the fire one actually has a real effect, but the green one, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. That card actually blows. But yeah, 3 of pretty much every play starter, which I like a lot. So, you know, the water that kind of is neggy because you have to discard a card then infuse. So yeah, you're losing resources really quick, but it's fine. The Spellcaster is broken. It's actually the best starter. The Dragon is decent. The Mule or something like that. And yeah, we're basically playing 2 of this, and then the spell card that searches, and the spell card that's kind of like a Shadal Fusion. This card is really cracked. So yeah, we're playing 12/15 Dragon Tail starters. No King of the Swamp, no Fret for package. You don't need any of that. Really cool. I like this. 3 Izuna, 3 Jokul, 1 Lantern, 1 Lupus, and then a bunch of hand shops. So 2, 5, 8, 10, 12. We're playing 12 hand shops, but not really, because technically we're playing 18 hand shops. Remember that Izuna is also a hand shop on your opponent's turn. You can send Lupus and then Quick Xyz for Ripper, or for the Book of Moon guy. What the hell is this name? Oh my god, it's somewhere here. Valon, the Psychic Sky Blaster. There you go. It's basically Castel, because it's a Sky Blaster. I think I think Castel is also a Sky Blaster, right? Sky Blaster. Yo, there you go. I'm actually not that stupid. Oh, even Phantom Sky Blaster and Clavicus the Magistus Sky Blaster. Oh, that's cool, but I couldn't care less. It changes nothing to my life. But yeah, so like I said, Izuna is also a hand shop, and what's her face, something, yeah, also. And the extra deck space is super tight, by the way, because you do need to play a lot of Dragon Tail fusion monsters, otherwise your grind game is dog shit. So in other words, people don't have the space for Nash Knight and the Barian Emperor that can evolve over Nash Knight for like the Humbrol Horror Masquerade. You probably understand absolutely nothing of what I'm saying right now, but eventually I will make a video covering, you know, pretty much all the new cards, all the new decks, and what people are trying to do, because I have been studying the Road of the King, the OCG format for quite a while, and I feel like I'm really getting the hang of it. This is actually a format that interests me, because I think Alliance Insight is dog shit, and I will also make a video just on that one very soon, as soon as like I get off like this annoying, not really burnout, but a little bit in a way. Side deck is really scary because there is a Quakimeru Drago off of Heretic Seal, which by the way is a joke to make because Sacramentum Dragoon is a dragon that can also revive back a dragon or like a spellcaster from the grave. So yeah, this card is just unfair. I don't even know why Konami printed this card. It's really stupid, but whatever. It is what it is. Yummy. Okay, so they do have a new card from Duelist Advance, the Starham, and it is, yeah, this card right here. It almost is the exact same thing as Martial Metal Marcher, but you have to discard a lot of cards, and I think there's like less drawbacks. So yeah, Starham needs to discard a card as its activation cost, and it is a beast monster, so even when you activate Obedience School, you can still go into it, but then you can't really climb into Herald of Arclight, which is your only Omni Negate. Apart from that, you don't really have much of anything. So yeah, I guess that's kind of like the issue of this deck. It doesn't really make negates all the time, but it doesn't really matter too much because you get to play so many hand shops. Your deck is so consistent that for the most part, you shouldn't really care all that much. Now, this is very interesting because we've also been observing this trend in the TCG as well, but people have always been playing Solemn's Judgment and Solemn Strike in the side deck. Usually they're the most generic, the most powerful, but now people are actually playing Solemn Warning in the side deck against Dragontail, because Dragontail, I mean, they can use monster effects to fuse, but they can also use spell cards to fuse. So if you have Judgment, then you can't Judgment a monster effect to fuse, and you also can't Judgment the summon, obviously, because it's not an inherent summon. It's not like an Xyz or a Fusion, or, sorry, an Xyz or a Synchro or a Link summon. A Fusion summon can never get hit by Judgment. You have to Judgment the card that is trying to summon it. But then again, you can't Judgment a monster effect, so you would have to strike it. But then, if your opponent activates like the Shut All Fusion spell, I forgot the name, sorry, then you can't strike that, obviously. So Solemn Warning is the only card in the game that can stop every single way of summoning a Fusion monster in the Dragontail deck. So I do understand the logic. It is not necessarily bad. I think right now people are overestimating the power level of Solemn Warning, because, okay, yeah, sure, it's very good against Malice at negating Link summons, which is what you're trying to do anyways. It's good against Raziel Mitsurugi because you can negate the ritual spell, and you can negate also the summon of a monster, but that's pretty much it. Like, it doesn't negate, like, blowouts and, I mean, board breakers and stuff like that. And usually Solemn Strike kind of just does what you want to do anyways, so the only, I guess, advantage that you would have right now in the current format is being able to negate, you know, spell cards like, well, Mitsurugi Prayers is also one of them, and Mitsurugi Ritual. So sometimes it's actually better, but sometimes it's worse, so it kind of depends. You pay 2,000 life points, unlike Solemn Strike, where you only pay 15. But usually, for me, Solemn Strike feels better because in a simplified game state, you can also negate hand shops, which honestly feels really good when you're top decking out of Misery, and then you finally have your starter, you get Ashed, you strike it, and then you just play some Yugi mounts. But yeah, Yumi plays a pretty huge amount of non-engine as well, so 1, 2, 8 hand shops, and then 11 hand shops, and then 3 Forbidden Droplet, 3 tactic cards, with 2 Called by the Graves and a Called by, so that's 9, I think, except if I'm stupid, with a D-Bearer, so yeah, 10 plus 12, yeah, basically 22 non-engine, I believe, out of 40, and everything else is either, I mean, like a semi-brick, like the Field Spell, they don't really do anything, or like the Quick Play, which gives you, I mean, crazy, you know, follow-up and interruptions on the opponent's turn. I mean, it basically creates like an infinite grind game as well. And yeah, your 9, 12, whatever starters, and also the Sky Striker package and Obedience Schooled. Yeah, you're probably not breaking with this deck, honestly. I do think that Yumi is a great pick for the upcoming format. I really do think it's one of the best decks for sure. Actually, it's much better than pure K9, especially when there's no Maxi running around, because this deck looks like it gets annihilated by Maxi completely, whereas Dragontail, it feels like it doesn't care about Maxi. This deck really has some Despia vibes, where you don't need to commit a lot of actions to do a lot. It's just like you activate a fusion card to fuse whatever, whether it's like the level 5 Water Girl or the fusion spell. You summon like Altharion and then you trigger a bunch of effects at the same time. You get crazy card advantage, your opponent gets 1 draw off of either 1 Shami or 1 Maxi, and then you're good to go. So yeah, Dragontail is like a very nice low to the ground kind of deck. Anyways, Malice, there's pretty much nothing interesting here other than the fact that Retelling Sea is very good against Dragontail, and it's not actually useless against Yumi because they can start either with Obedience Schooled or the Sky Striker Hornet. So 6 of their 15 starters, which means 40%, no, hold on a second, 6 of the 40%, there we go, of their starters lose to Retelling Sea. That is not too bad. And against Dragontail, I mean, they're pretty much always going to be going for this fusion spell, I'm not going to lie. So if you can banish everything, it's really hard to lose against that deck, because their effects do not trigger when they just are used as fusion materials. They have to be sent to the graveyard as well. So it's not like Mitsurugi where the cards just have to be tributed, and they also like recycle back from the banished and stuff. So yeah, Retelling Sea honestly carries against Dragontail. It really is that good, and it is the best way of giving yourself an edge against those decks. Malice, even right now, is a deck that can play a stupid, idiotic amount of hand shops and also dangerous hand shops because of Dominus Impulse, which is one of your best friends against Yumi and also against Dragontail for obvious reason. Yeah, right, you can negate the spell card, you can not really negate the level 5 if it's like the first action, but whatever, you get the point. So yeah, 2, 5, 8, 10, 13, 16 hand shops, and then, you know, 2 Called by the Grave, so yeah, pretty much 18 non-engine, and we're playing a huge amount of, you know, starters and extenders and stuff like that. Even with only 1 single copy of Dormouse, it is not the end of the world. You are still playing a much better deck than everyone else in the room, and the fact that Konami, for some reason, they keep showing a lot of favoritism to Malice, and they keep destroying Raziel. Whether it's in the OCG and the TCG, it really goes to show that this deck might actually survive for even longer than we wanted to in the TCG, and I am not looking forward to that. Dimensional Fissure in the side deck is another thing that is really scary, because if they go first against Dragon Tail, I do not see a world in which Dragon Tail wins. Look at their side deck. Other than Pankratops, there is pretty much no back removal, so you can literally go activate Dimensional Fissure past turn, and they cannot beat you. And if you have a way to deal with the Pankratops, then you also cannot lose, which is ridiculous, because it's not really a deck that can play a lot of spells and traps, otherwise they will start breaking on them, and they won't have enough monsters to start fusion summoning, because it's kind of like Pendulums, where you kind of need like your full hand to play, because the fusion mechanic is by definition default very card hungry. It requires a lot of resources, so if you have a bunch of useless cards, then it doesn't work. The hand trap monsters, they are an exception to the rule, because they are cards that hurt the opponent but also can help you by being used as fusion materials. So that is completely fine, and that is also the reason why Infinite Impermanence is not a staple in this deck. And to be quite fair with you, I think even X-Force Liberation might be a tech card that you should potentially consider in the side deck, just so that you have less bricks, because that could be an issue in a deck where, again, there is virtually no real one-card combos. Everything is kind of like a two-card combo in a way-ish, kind of. I mean, there's a lot of, like, actual two-card combos, like one Muller or one Lucieta or something, forgot the name, or one of the fusion spell, or obviously this with any monster, but you still have to be skillful and draw that monster. Look, try to be pessimistic, alright? Just try to imagine a world where you draw all the K9 bricks and... Oh, actually, no, that was a terrible example. Whatever, it's fine. We'll just, pretend like I didn't say anything. Okay, anyways, Vanquish Soul, they got 3 new cards. So, Vanquish Soul Rocks, that is an Xyz monster, and then Holy Suit, the level 5, and Vanquish Soul Start. And I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot what Vanquish Soul Start even is. That is really sad. Oh, that's the field spell, actually, which I am not seeing anywhere here, because it is, even though it has the word start in it, it is not actually a one-card starter. You do have to have a Vanquish Soul monster already on the field in order for it to be live. And by the way, I'm extremely idiotic. Vanquish Soul Start is this card right here, so right after the normal spell card where you have to reveal, yeah, there we go, Stake Your Soul. So yeah, it's still a good card, and it also is a Vanquish Soul card, so another target to search off of Mad Love, and we definitely take these because Stake Your Soul is the best Vanquish Soul spell card, and it is not a Vanquish Soul card. So yeah, shoutouts to Luna Light Perfume, and shoutouts to Konami for being the biggest trolls on Earth. I mean, imagine if you could actually search the Kashtira field spell with Kashtira Unicorn, because for some reason I keep stumbling upon comments like of people saying that Unicorn can just search the field spell and then search Rise Art, and then, you know, Draco Sakamba. Just stop. Just stop. Read cards. I know we're Yu-Gi-Oh players. I also can't read cards, so I can't read my own Raziel Cross. There we go. Anyways, like I said, Vanquish Soul, Holy Suit, insane broken card. It is an interruption, it's a play starter, it's basically everything you could ask for, so it's the level 5 monster that can summon itself on the main phase overall, just by revealing another Vanquish Soul monster in your hand. So either it can reveal an Earth and a Dark to take control of one monster your opponent controls with the lowest attack, which is a very scary disruption on its own, so it can be pretty much a turn skip against Yummy, right? They normal summon a monster, and then you go, okay, Holy Sue effect, reveal itself, and then a Holy Sue effect again, take control of that Yummy monster, and then you don't have a level 1 monster on the field anymore, so you can't really play, unless you have Obedience Schooled or, you know, Sky Striker or Hornet Jones, but that doesn't really count too much. You're not going to be good at the game. Or if you have a Fire and a Dark monster to reveal, you can special summon a non-psychic Vanquish Soul monster from your deck. So honestly, Dark with either Earth or Fire always gets you a disruption, because either way you'll be able to summon Raisin, and then Raisin can just search for whatever, and then you can go Raisin effect in order to destroy the monster in your opponent's column. So yeah, you either gonna get to steal a monster or destroy a monster, but also get your stuff going. And there is also a world in which the Raisin can search for Caesar Valius or something else if you already had it, and then you can go Caesar Valius on turn 0 and then destroy another card on the field. There we go. So I already knew all of that, but Akira, which I am assuming is Akira, yo, shoutouts to Akira, man, always providing the best articles. Akira also mentioned that, so yeah, that's a way you can get 2 disruptions before your turn even started, and you can start your turn with 2 monsters on the field and like a full hand, because you can also just, you know, use the burger in order to draw a card, and you can burn your opponent on turn 0, so you can draw 0 actual hand traps, but then summon burger and then reveal, like, I think Earth and Dark, whatever, in order to burn your opponent for 15. It's really stupid and it's really cringe, but yeah, this is something that you can do. But yeah, Vanquish Soul start, new field spell that adds a Vanquish Soul with a different attribute from the targeted Vanquish Soul monster from deck to your hand. Not too bad. So yeah, basically you go normal summon Mad Love, search Vanquish Soul start, and then target the Mad Love in order to search for something, whatever, and then yeah, there you go. You search Ryzen, and then you make the Link 1, and then you summon the Ryzen from the hand, and then you can do something, and then do some other things. And also, you can protect yourself from Regeki. I actually kind of forgot about that. There you go. That is actually really convenient. Yeah, if a Vanquish Soul monster or monsters you control will be destroyed by battle by card effect, you can reveal one Vanquish Soul monster in your hand instead. Holy crap. Alright, yeah, that is kind of broken, but it is like once per turn, but still really insane. And then during your end phase, if you control 2 or more Vanquish Soul monsters, you can set a Vanquish Soul trap from your deck. So you're getting access to the good Vanquish Soul trap pretty much all the time, and I know it's a good card, Snow Devil. Yeah, that one definitely feels much better than Dust Devil if you're going first, because you're getting like so many effects in sequence. You're burning, you're protecting your monsters, which does matter because they're just like boneless bodies. They don't really feel like without any protection they would survive. And you can also destroy a bunch of monsters on the field, while obviously protecting yourself, so you're only really destroying your opponent's stuff. That's if you have a lot of Vanquish Soul monsters to reveal, which is the reason why if you can play some supplementary engines, it is better if they can be Dark, Earth, or Fire attribute. So we're playing Magnamod, we're playing Shifter, and then we're playing Izuna and Lupus, and Lantern. Sorry, and Jokul. Okay, so we're playing, yeah, Earth, Dark, holy crap, this is so convenient. Ash is a Fire, Must Be Nice, Maxi is a Wind. Unfortunately, the Chummies are not good attributes for this deck, but Meows could actually work. Meows is Earth, and maybe there could be like another Chummy one day that would be Fire. That would also be really nice. There's none at the current moment. But yeah, I mean, it's such a cool deck. It really rewards like innovation, deck building, and stuff like that. And honestly, you gotta love to see it. So I think this deck is really cool and very difficult to interact with because your hand traps are not good against it whatsoever. The extra deck has a lot of space. It's super flexible because the Vanquish Soul engine itself, it doesn't really go into the extra deck space all that much. So you could theoretically go into Paradise Smasher and then just FTK the living crap out of your opponent. Remember that this card, it doesn't have a 100% success rate. There's like a 92% chance that it works in your favor, a 3-point-something% chance that it backfires against you, and like a 4% chance that it just does absolutely nothing. Because with the third material, you're not actually guaranteeing any results. You're really just helping yourself out as much as possible, because without the third material, it's actually kind of like more of a... It's closer to a 50-50, and obviously you don't really want a 50-50 if you use like 2 level 5 monsters. It's really stupid. Which is the reason why, even though this is a rank 5 that can be made with 2 monsters, people are always going to be summoning it with 3 level 5 monsters. And fortunately for this deck, there are a lot of level 5 monsters, meaning that the K9 engine is better than ever. There's Izuna, Joku, Lantern, Holy Sue, and what's the face of this girl? I forgot. Jiaolong, there we go. Yeah, so yeah, they can all be summoned off of blah 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 something something, and that's pretty nice. So yeah, a lot of hand traps, a lot of cool things, very good deck, very cool deck as well, super fun. And I am looking very forward to just having a good time with Vanquish Soul, even though I've never been a Vanquish Soul player myself. But yeah, in conclusion, Duelist Advance actually had a decent impact on the metagame. The reason for that is because of Vanquish Soul especially, but also like the indirect support that the new decks got. So Dragon Tail, they got the new Dragoon monster, whatever, that is like a floodgate for the mirror match, which is really stupid. And then Yummy just got the new Synchro monster that is kind of like a Martial Metal Marcher, but that can still be summoned under Obedience Cooled. Malice didn't change whatsoever. Vanquish Soul is a new deck, and then, yes, Sky Striker is also a new deck from Duelist Advance. I was afraid I was gonna say something stupid, maybe it was like off of like a Jump promo set, but no, actually, Sky Striker, the new Link 2 and stuff, that was definitely in Duelist Advance. And there's also Lunalight, and then the Onomat deck that is going to be very good in Raziel. I'm looking forward to that, and also there's like some other weaker decks that are coming out, like Armedia. This reminds me a little bit of like Regenesis, where people know, like, they don't necessarily have to care about it. Like, yeah, sure, it's a new deck, but it's not like it's going to change that much to the game. Whereas like the Justice Hunters deck, like Dragon Tail, Yummy, and, you know, the K9, if you don't know what they're doing, you are going to be in a terrible position when, you know, the new set will drop. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know how you feel about the OCG format in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.